Good evening guys, and welcome back to another video. So a bit of a different thing going on here. I've got a bit of a setup and basically I'm gonna explain my favourite books as well as other sort of recommended books. And I'm well educated in books, okay? I have read so many books, and so I'm gonna pass on my wisdom to everyone else today. And I'm gonna show you my favourite books, and then afterwards I'll go through some that are like in my top 15. So there is two books actually, they're both by the same author, and it is The Night Circus and The Starless Sea. I took the cover off The Starless Sea, but you can still see it is The Starless Sea. And they're both by an author called Erin Morgenstern, and these are my two favourite books ever, of all time. Out of many of the hundreds of books I've read, those are my favourite, and they are so good. They are magical realism books, but I don't read oh my god, is it fiction or non-fiction? I don't read non-fiction. I read stories, not like real books. The physical inability to read non-fiction, I just can't, like that, I just really struggle with it. The words, they just don't go into my head. So everything in here is gonna be stories. And the second book, this, you can see how much I've read it, because I mean I've literally had this since I was 12, and it actually is a children's story, young adult, but it's so dark. Like, it is so dark. The main characters in this are kids who are refugees who have been kidnapped as they were being taken over to another country, and now they are basically being kept by these people to grow weed or drugs. So it's pretty dark, but it's so good. It's definitely not, you have to read it with an open mind, I think, because some parts of it need a little bit of like the way that it's written is kind of funny, but it's such a good book. There's more by her as well, Zana Freeland. Another one is that of a really good book, and I think the most popular one is called The Bone Sparrow. Really, really good book. But I would really highly recommend these. They're not easy reading, but they're really unique books, really clever as well. And I feel like, especially for the young adult fiction, it's a good way to kind of introduce you to the worst parts about the world. Moving on. These next ones have a bit of a theme. See if you can guess the theme. First book, this, Threadneedle. And this is a series, so the second one is called Shadow Stitch, which is even longer than this book, and really, really good. It's set in London, and it's about a girl who has a very controlling aunt, and she lives with her, and it's like it's a magical book basically. It's about her and her coven at school, and one of the reasons why I like it so much is because it's kind of just, I feel like a lot of stories are like so focused on the action and the drama and stuff, but this has so many things where it's just like they're doing it like it has relevance, but it's also fun at the same time. And that's why I really like this book, because I read it more for the kind of the atmosphere, but it also has a really good plot, so I really would recommend this book. Continuing in our series, another big book, The Once and Future Witches. Again, thick book. So this is another book about witches, which is going to be another theme in this, and this one's really, really good. It's darker, it's honestly, I'd say it's more realistic in how the witches would have actually been treated, but it's really good. It's about it's about sisters, and they are all witches, and they're also suffragettes. So this is such a good book. It's so deep and powerful and all of that. Really good. Another book, The Witch Haven. This book, literally speaking, linguistically speaking, I don't know, whatever the word you want to say for it, it's not like amazing, but for some reason I read this book when I was on holiday about 4 years ago, I think, and I would like say that I had a headache or something, or I would say that I wanted to go back to bed just so that I could sit in bed and read this. And I don't even know why, because it's not like the best book ever written, but it's just so good. Like, there's just something about it that's so good. And so I'd recommend it. And there's a second book in this one as well, which is also really, really good. They go to Paris in the second book. And yeah, it's basically just about a witching academy. But I would recommend it. It's such a good read, and like it's addicting. It's kind of like a hook, you know. These next three are recommendations at the same time. There's some books, they're probably slightly more popular books. So first one, Still Life by Sarah Winman. Amazing. Not much, so I've read nearly every book that she's written, and I've actually just finished another one called The Year of Marvelous Ways, another really good book, but this is still my favourite, but this is also really good. Add that to the big pile of books. Anyway, yeah, so not loads happens, and it's kind of just about the people in the books. It's about their life, and you basically just being taken through their lives. It's so good. The writing is it's my favourite writing out of any author, apart from my favourite author, Erin Morgenstern. This has the best writing, and it's just about these two guys, and they move to Italy, and they have a kid. It's about them sort of growing up in Italy. The best holiday read, or anything like that. It's just so good. I can't recommend it enough. Had to be done. Yeah, everyone knows what this book is. If you've clicked on this because you like books, you will know what this book is. I just had to say it, like, it's such a good book. I feel like everyone knows that. It's so good. And I remember the first time I read it afterwards. Oh, it is The Perks of Being a Wallflower, by the way, in case you didn't know. The first time I read it, I started writing everything like how this book is written, and I remember I have notes in my phone, and it was saying like, square lettuce is the definition of corporate life. So true though. So, quite an influential book, I would say. Obviously the film is really good as well, but the book is better in my opinion, but not that much better. Some films, I feel like when they make a book adaptation, they're just horrible, and some films are really good. But yeah, so obviously really good book. Everyone knows this book. If you don't read it, it's literally really short, so it's not going to take that much effort. Final book is also by the same author who wrote The Once and Future Witches. Such a good author. 10,000 Doors of January. Really good. Again, the writing is really, really good. These stories are so well written and complex, and they form together really well. Like, the actual story writing of it is so good. This one is kind of like the style of Sea. If on the off chance anyone who watches this who has read both books, you'll know what I mean. It's just so good. Actually, I kind of want to read it again, to be honest with you. But it's about a girl called January, and it's about these sort of doors that can lead you to other time zones, other worlds, essentially. And it's also quite a bit of a love story as well. So good. So that was all of my favourite books and like my top recommendation books. I have some more that I definitely do have, but that I just can't think of, or that I don't have in England with me at the moment. Also, let me know if anyone has sort of likes these kinds of books and has other recommendations. So I started reading a book called The Ex-Hex, which is a bit off character for me, but I found it in a charity shop for like £1, and then I just thought, you know what, and then I got sent this book by my parents called The Book of Witching, which I am very excited. I think you can kind of tell what my favourite genre of book is, and I actually don't know anything about this book. Like, I haven't read anything about it. My mum just said it was good, and then she bought it for me. So I'm gonna read that, and after that, and the book that I've just finished reading is this one. So good. Obviously I'm gonna say that about every book, but I feel like I'm just so right. You know, I just feel like I really actually am right about this. Yeah, anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video and that it had some use, some helpfulness, because I think, in my personal humble opinion, the books are really good. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next week.